love. It's the only answer. From the soul, y'all.
Hello everyone, welcome to Meet Them Mondays. I'm your host, Cristian Portilla, and we are in the studio today with two of my favorites. Welcome Herb Sosa and Araya Lester.
Thank you, Christian.
And today's show is being dedicated to something that we all hold very close to our hearts, which is gay pride, LGBT pride. And specifically, what we'll be talking about today is Latino or Hispanic Pride. And so, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. You're one of our favorites as well. But
thank you. And before we get into the show, really, we have to talk about the history and where Celebrate Orgullo, which is the name of the Pride,
Sure.
I guess we can call it festival month that we have going on. It was birthed through UnityCoalition or Coalicion Unida, and that is the nonprofit that you started, Herb. And so, Celebrate Orgullo started 11 years ago, and it's Miami's first Hispanic Pride Festival. And different events take place throughout the month of October. This month is the month of October, the 1st to the 15th. And UnityCoalition started in 2002. It's a grassroots effort leading the way in honoring the cultural contributions of the LGBT Hispanic community, and its focus is in education, leadership, and empowerment of the Latino, Hispanic, LGBT communities of South Florida.
That was beautifully said.
Thank you. And then Araya Lester is the Vice President of UnityCoalition, the co-founder of TRANSART, and the Director of Trans Miami. Yes, Trans Miami. TRANSART is the first jury transgender art exhibition and conference in the world, created in South Florida, going on its 4th year. Trans Miami is Miami-Dade's first transgender organization.
Yep, that's me.
That was a mouthful, but that's just a little piece of the work that gets done here in South Florida.
Absolutely.
Herb, I want to start with you. I think UnityCoalition is a very interesting, I think it's a very interesting event. It's a very interesting organization, how you started it, the events that followed through with it. And I'm curious to know what the vision was for it. And it started over a decade ago already.
15 years.
Yeah. What was the vision and what were you thinking when this happened, when this started?
You know, ignorance is bliss, quite honestly. We did not set out to start an organization, myself included. I was running Miami Design Preservation League. I was saving buildings, not people, back then. And many of my other friends had day jobs. And what came out of really a challenge to Miami-Dade County's Human Rights Ordinance in 2002 was what gave birth to UnityCoalition. More specifically, there was a challenge, like I said, that threatened to take away the rights of the LGBT community. And many really, really well-intended organizations, local and national, were putting a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of energy into South Florida to making sure that voters knew not to overturn that. Unfortunately, they really, respectfully, many of us thought that they were missing the boat with addressing mainly Hispanic, African American minorities in South Florida. Their energy was really focused in South Beach and Upper East Side, and really many of the voters that they already, for the most part, had on their side. So a few of us got together and really, like a basic grassroots, put some money down and said, okay, let's take these flyers and these brochures and translate them into Creole and into Spanish and hit the road. And really, it was born out of that. It was going to Palacio de los Jugos in Doral. It was going to, the Walmart in Okeechobee. I mean, I kid you not. We're in the parking lot of Walmart with rainbow flags and talking to people. And I probably wouldn't do that today, but back then I did. And really our approach was not, like us because we're gay. It was really more, everyone in South Florida unfortunately knows what being discriminated against feels like. even the whitest Angloist person in South Florida knows what it's like to be discriminated against, unfortunately. So there was a commonality there. There was a story that everybody could relate to. And certainly no one that we know wants to be discriminated against. So it was a universal message. And once we got that message out, I can proudly say that on election night, 13 polls in areas that nobody, they basically had thrown out those votes in the sense of these are crazy people, these are Bible thumpers, these are little old Latina ladies that will never ever vote for anything LGBT. Well, they were wrong, respectfully, and we turned 13 polls in favor of not taking away our rights.
Ooh.
So once that happened, yeah, it was incredible. All of us had day jobs, and we were going back home to do our job the next day. There was no organization, there was no name, there was no foundation. And the phone kept ringing. The phone kept ringing for about a week, and we kept getting calls of people that felt disenfranchised, felt that they had no voice, no tenían voz, in the community, and they were looking for leadership. They were looking for not just leadership, but really somebody to listen to them. More than anything, I'd say that the majority of the work that we do, it's not always advocacy or militancy. It's not always out there screaming or chaining yourself to your congressman's, front door. We do that, but that's not all we do. It's really listening to people. It's really giving them the respect and the place that they deserve. And it sounds so simple, but a lot of times people don't get that. And I'd like to say that that's what I believe Unity Coalition has been best at for the last 15 years, is giving that listening, giving that voice, giving that representation, and we do it through all of our programs, through Celebrate Orgullo that we're going to talk about, through TRANSART, through Elevate, through our LGBT College Scholarship program, through, we have a new program coming out called Pride U 2020. It's so new, I almost forgot it. Pride U 2020, which engages millennials to get involved in community advocacy and leadership. So everything that we do tries to have that mission, of leadership, of listening to the community, listening to what community needs and wants, respecting it, and leading it.
Absolutely. And Araya, now to you. I'm curious to know how you found your way to Unity Coalition as a trans woman of color. Did you come into the organization looking for resources, or did you already know, now that you are the vice president, how did that work for you, and what was your role in Unity Coalition?
Well, I started off Trans Miami on my own, basically.
Okay.
There was a program that we had here in South Florida when I first moved here in 2005, and it was the only thing that catered directly to the transgender population. When the funding ended, the program ended, and it was nothing for trans people to go to, nowhere to get resources, referrals, information, social gatherings, anything. So I decided to try to continue that work outside of that funded program that ended, and started Trans Miami. And we had a store that was in South Beach on Alton Road. It was called So Be Thrifty. It was like a store that Care Resource had. And I was there one day, I was there maybe twice a week, just there for people to walk in and come and get info, get services, testing, whatever. And Herb Sosa came in. He had sent me a couple of emails prior to that, but I wasn't quite familiar with the organization. And he made it a point to actually come to me in person, tell me about Unity Coalition, and invite me to the meetings. And I went to the meetings. I loved it. I loved the mission, and it aligned with what I already, did here in South Florida, and the kind of goals that I had for our community as a whole. And so we kind of joined forces, and the rest is history.
Nice.
Sure.
And about the vision and the nonprofit and how it started a decade ago, what is some of the work that has been done, maybe how it has evolved, the work that's being done there now? If someone, if a listener were to hear, how could they get involved, or if they needed anything?
Well, we are completely bilingual. We certainly are, Spanish and English. We have resources in Creole and in other languages as well available, but our focus really is the Latino, Hispanic, LGBT community of South Florida, and everything that falls under that umbrella. Our goal, as I said, is not it's not special privileges or special rights. It's really leveling the playing field. It's giving everybody a chance at the adult table, for rights. And that is at the root of everything we do. How can they get involved with us? Well, UnityCoalition.org or CoaliciónUnida.org will get you to our webpage. It'll show you our year-round programming. As I said, we do a variety of things. Right now, we're right in the middle of Celebrate ORGULLO. It's our 7th year, celebrating Hispanic culture and heritage and everything that comes with that. It's not a gay pride festival in the traditional sense.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a lot of things over the last 7 years. We did have a huge street festival. Our last one was 3 years ago at Museum Park in downtown Miami. We couldn't have been prouder. Who does that? Who has a Hispanic LGBT festival and takes over Museum Park? Well, we did, and it brought everybody, and that's one thing that we're also very, very proud of. We love our community. We love our Hispanic community, our LGBT community, but really it's not about preaching to the choir. It's about showing the rest of the world we're all kind of boring,
Yeah.
We're all kind of boring. We lead regular lives, and that's a great thing. That's a great thing. It's a great thing whether you're a young kid that doesn't know, is confused about themselves, not about their sexuality, but about who they are and how to express themselves. Some of us are more fortunate than others at home. Some kids have it really rough. Some kids are literally thrown out and disowned by their families right here, all over South Florida. South Florida is interesting in that respect because the climate, a lot of times, you go to New York City in December and who's homeless. It's pretty easy to tell. You come here, you don't know if somebody's on vacation and laying on the beach or if they haven't eaten in 4 days.
That's true.
So that is a huge challenge in our community. Sexual exploitation is a huge challenge in our community. You talk about, everything from nannies in fancy houses in Coral Gables. You don't think of them as being exploited or as a crime, but it is a crime. So we deal with issues like that. It just goes on and on.
So it doesn't only focus on LGBT. It focuses on
leveling the playing field for anybody that feels disenfranchised. And
Okay.
South Florida is such a melting pot.
right.
And when you throw in culture, when you throw in religion, when you throw in
Yes.
family pressures, the last thing we're here to do is check off a little box or say, oh, well, you're not a lesbian, or you're not a gay man, or you're not a trans woman, therefore we're not here for you. No, of course we're here for you. And many, many, many of the the people that we help are individuals that are allies to the community, but not necessarily, we don't ask you if you identify as LGBT.
Okay, I'm really glad you
Yeah,
brought that up. That's a really
absolutely.
good point.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we have, again, a lot of the calls that we get because we have a community resource center where online we have over 10,000 resources. I always use this, people think it's a joke. If you want a LGBT dog sitter in Alaska, there's 4 of them.
Wow.
Okay, who would have known? And I know that sounds like a random,
Yeah.
random knowledge. Well, that's part of the resource center that we have online, but not just the online. People call us all the time and say everything from, my daughter's a lesbian. How do I fix her? Well, where do we start? And it's a very delicate line because we're not therapists, we are not attorneys, we're not doctors. We can certainly refer you to a lot of professionals that we have painstakingly researched and made sure that they're cool, they're right, they're legitimate, they're not going to take advantage of people. Immigration is another issue that we deal with a lot. Unfortunately, South Florida is riddled with attorneys that are not credible, and immigration is an issue that people are terrified to ask about.
Yeah.
And we get calls of, my cousin's next door neighbor told me blah blah blah, and more often than not they have bad information.
And if you happen to fall on the LGBT spectrum,
Absolutely.
the chances are worse.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
absolutely. So again, our job, I often say this, the happiest day for me will be the day that we shut down Unity Coalition because there's no need for it. Unfortunately, I don't see that day coming around, whether it's for the political climate we're living in, or, you know, there's new kids born every day,
Right.
you know, and there's new people
Absolutely.
coming to Miami every single day. You know, just a couple of months ago, there was a statistic that Araya can certainly speak to better, but, you know, almost 100 transgender identifying Latinas were coming to Miami, almost all undocumented. That's 100 a month. Okay,
Yeah.
that number is huge when it's people that are terrified of the government, terrified of their neighbors, terrified of the
Their
system.
family, of
More
whatever.
often than not, they came here because their family disowned them.
Exactly.
No support systems, distrust, and yeah, and so where can they go? Where can they find trust, or where can they get at least a foundation in order to have some type of stability, you know, in being a refugee here?
And I love that. What I get a sense is like finding your tribe, you know, finding people
Absolutely.
that help you fit in and figure it all out. And Araya, you know, bringing this back to you, because you had said earlier that when you first came here, there wasn't resources, there wasn't a tribe exactly. What was the climate of the LGBT community back then? What did you see? And how has that evolved now with the work that you've done and as the years have gone by?
Well, it's kind of the same thing all around the country when you really look at it. When I first came here, the transgender community was convoluted into like drag queens and entertainment, stereotyped as just mostly sex workers and people who, when you really look at it, were typecast into not being deserving of a good quality of life because of the stereotypes that people put on as the lives that a trans person lives. So the basis that I really had to work off on was general education, just education and letting people know, as Herb said, that we're all pretty much the same, you know, like we don't all strip and, you know, engage in sex work and put on, you know, heavy makeup and do a show for you.
If you do, it's great.
It's
More
fine.
power to you.
That is
Do it
fine.
well.
But we
Yes.
don't, we
yes.
don't all do that, so.
Exactly, and that became a barrier in actually getting services, you know, from a lot of organizations, and so I had to go out and start educating people, and that is part of our mission as Unity Coalition. Education is an integral part of really putting quality information out there for the general public, because the general public is really, you know, if we're not putting it out there, they're not going to get it, and all they have to go on are, you know, just the craziness that is put out through, you know, news and media, because they're not going to put the boring stuff out there.
And I have to give credit to Araya because the education starts at home. You know, so when we met and became involved with Unity Coalition, admittedly, you know, I had a lot to learn. My board had a lot to learn. And Araya has, in leaps and bounds, brought us up to speed, if you will. I couldn't be prouder of TRANSART, the program that really was her brainchild, which was putting on a credible arts show and a conference that celebrates the transgender community and its talents and its vision and its possibilities. And
exclusive to trans artists.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the reaction, not just, it's been very interesting because at the level of pride, and again, Araya can attest to this much more than I, but I've seen it firsthand, the level of pride that we have been able to humbly give to and share with the trans community is amazing. It energizes me every year. And then beyond that, people that had no clue, that maybe didn't even know what a trans person was, that comes to the events and just see amazing art and amazing speakers and beautiful, wonderful, loving people. Then, oh, by the way, oh wait, that person's trans. It opens doors. It opens doors, and that's in the most basic, at the most basic level. That's how humanity grows.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Meet the Mondays on Jolt Radio. I'm here with Herb Sosa and Araya Lester from Unity Coalition, and we're speaking about the Celebrate ORGULLO. We're speaking about this wonderful nonprofit, and I want to take it back a little bit because trans art is something that, okay, if you've been a listener of Meet the Mondays, if you follow my work, I actually made a really great friend and one of the first people to ever be on Meet Them Mondays. And, you know, it was, as a journalist, going to TRANSART and experiencing that. And I'm born and raised in Miami, okay? Born and raised in Hialeah. And knowing that we have events like this in Miami, it was my first time going.
I remember.
Steven Snyder is my friend and artist, and I interviewed her for TRANSART. I even went to her home in Mexico off of that one event. And it's like a testament to how these events bring you together, you know? And we sat down that day for TRANSART, and we were just talking about, this is something happening in Miami. It's an event for trans artists only, and tell me your story. I want to know more. And you just connect through the human experience, you know? I want to go back to now, you know, what we're here for, how Celebrate Orgullo is part of these events of Unity Coalition, the education, you know, what goes on from the 1st to the 15th, what can people expect? Well,
like I said, it's in its 7th year. It does run October 1st through the 15th. It's arts, culture, and heritage throughout South Florida. We have over 80 artists involved, and artists of all types, singers, dancers, painters. This year, for the first time, really, we have a theme within the theme. We're celebrating the life of Sara Montiel. Sara Montiel was iconic. She was a Spanish actress and singer and performer in the 1950s and 60s. A lot of people try to take the label of crossover. She really was the first crossover. She was headlining in Hollywood when nobody knew what a Hispanic person was, much less, you know, a woman, Latina woman was just unheard of. This is a woman that learned to smoke cigars with him and Ernest Hemingway, and she was just
a badass.
Like, drop dead gorgeous. You know, men, women, dogs, and dogs and cats all fell in love with her. She was incredibly attractive, incredibly talented, lived by her own rules. You know, but even by today's standards, you know, she was controversial. You know, she had out of marriage relationships, and she got divorced when she wasn't, you know, allowed to, and she did things on her terms. Why? What does that have to do with Celebrate Orgullo? Well, she also lived under the Franco regime, which was a brutalist dictatorship for over 40 years in Spain, and before any of us were born, but certainly before our community really even had, you know, LGBT rights in our vocabulary or in our psyche, she helped hundreds and hundreds of gay people out of Spain, hid them, fed them, you know, kept them out of jail, kept them alive. And this is something that really, up until almost when she died, very few people knew about that. So to me, that's a testament of somebody that's a real hero, somebody that really does it, not because the cameras are rolling, you know, because nothing could be further from the truth. And she mentored just so many people. As a matter of fact, we have 2 artists in particular that just came in yesterday from Spain that are going to be part of the programs that we still have. Alberto Montilla, who was a photographer that befriended her for the last 10 years of her life and did 4 photo shoots with her. And we have his work going to be shown. We have Alberto Rivas as the photographer. Javier Montilla wrote this incredible novel called Los Últimos Días de Sara Montiel, The Last Days of Sara Montiel, which talks about Paco, a drag queen that has Alzheimer's, and visits her gravesite every day for weeks and talks to her about the day that they spent together. So they're all part of this festival. We're halfway into it. I can tell you, for those of you that are out there listening and are close to South Florida, there's plenty of stuff to still do. We have a wonderful event tomorrow at Pride Line Center, and we have 3 incredible artists. We have Marco Beria, we have Coco Larcon, and Marianela Holly that are all going to be there with their art. Spectacular stuff. Then we have a workshop right after that. That's at 6 p.m. We have a workshop right after that called Rhythm, Rhymes, and Writing, and it's exploring how you put your thoughts, your hopes, your dreams on paper, whether you want to write the next great novel or the next great rap song, or you just want your journal to sound better.
Right.
We're going to have several writers, all different age groups, all different perspectives, helping you do that.
Yeah.
And then the next day we have our Sarah Gala, which is celebrating Sara Montiel's life. We have the Gay Men's Chorus. We have Vina Rouge, who's an amazing performer that is Sara Montiel in life, and a lot of other wonderful surprises. And that's going to be at the Coral Gables Women's Club. And we still
Thursday.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
And if you're not in Miami, you can always plan for next year.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people come down from all over the place.
Absolutely.
For these events, and that's something that I find that I think that is different about Celebrate Orgullo. Not only that it takes place from the 1st to the 15th, and it's a series of different programming, but it's not necessarily just the Pride Festival, because that's not what it is. It's that, but it's so much more, because there's artists, there's writers, there's authors,
Absolutely.
there's singers, there's something for everyone.
There's enough parties out there, to
Yeah.
go to, then to add another one to the mix. We wanted to try to create something a little different, focus on something beyond the circuit parties, with focus on arts and culture within our LGBT Latino Hispanic community.
And we're gonna actually be taking a break now, but when we get back, I really want to highlight, how we focus on the Latino community and how we just make it so inclusive for everybody. So we'll be right back. How are you guys feeling?
Good.
Yeah?
Chris, move yourself this way, not that side on the mic, so you can see your face.
With what you got,
How you like it?
have to pretend
I love it.
that
I
you
really want
gotta
to make
know
sure, remember the Facebook Live we're talking?
you are your
I really want to make sure that we really highlight the rest of the things that we have left.
Right.
I'm actually really curious to know why we decided to focus on the Hispanic community, because we have Pride.
It was underserved.
Yeah. So we'll get.
I'll tell you more
Yeah, we'll
detail,
get
but
into
because
that.
it was for the same reasons that we decided to focus on a transgender arts and culture conference, for the same reasons that we choose the underrepresented, the underserved,
It's just so
underappreciated groups.
To me, it's so cool, but also different that in Miami you would think that you would feel inclusive because Miami has such a Latino population.
Sure.
I'm like, are we back?
No.
But we had to, I say we, but we had to go out of our way to create something that was
Absolutely.
ours, even in a
Absolutely.
city that has so many Latinos, because you're still a subculture of that big bubble of
And
Latinos.
quite honestly, looking at it, not that you're saying it in a negative way, but to look at it in a positive way, everybody's busy. Everybody's got a life. Everyone is trying to pay their bills and do things. So it's something that I constantly remind myself of, is just because someone's not out there being an advocate, just because someone's not out there coming to
Doesn't
our
mean that we
events,
don't want that to
doesn't
be-
mean
yeah.
right. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean that you don't want it to exist or that you wouldn't refer to it every once in a while.
Yeah.
And that's important. That's important, especially in a city so heavy with immigrants
Yeah.
and with exiles, that you can't lose sight of that. Not everybody has extra time or money to just go and hang out.
And I really want to know Araya's perspective too, because it's LGBT, Hispanic, Latino, Pride, but it's you're a trans woman of color and
Just
you
speak to the connection of the Latino Hispanic community with
exactly.
people outside of it.
Exactly.
Nice, easy listening.
I love how I can see myself.
Yeah, I'm looking at that too.
That was that was Young Latin and Proud by Helado Negro. You're listening to Meet the Mondays on Jolt Radio. And we were just getting into how Celebrate Orgullo is a series of programming that happens from the 1st to the 15th of October, celebrating Latino LGBT Pride. And so we were just talking about the culture, the educational, the resource part of these events. And I love that it's not only clubs, even though clubbing is fun.
Absolutely.
And I love that it's not just on the beach, the Pride Festival that we all know, you know. But I'm curious to know, when you began, why did you want to focus on Latinos?
I'll tell you, Christian, we love a party. We love alcohol. We love, pretty bodies and the beach and all of that. Celebrate Orgullo is anything but stuffy. Okay, but I and our community and our organization felt that there's so much more. No, not just felt it, knew that there was so much more dimension, so many more layers to our community. Like you, I was born here. I was born in Miami to Cuban exile parents, and I was very privileged to see a lot of incredible culture in South Florida. But the older I got, the more comfortable in my own skin that I got. I realized I'm not completely represented in my own community. Why is that? The Anglo-gay community is certainly, I'd say, about 20 years ahead of us.
They're heavily represented.
In fundraising, in advocacy, in political leadership, and a lot of things. For reasons that could take another 3 of these shows. We could talk about the whys. I believe that happens, but never, whatever it is, there was a void. And again, Unity Coalition is based on that, leveling the playing field and educating and empowering people and having them feel proud. And as cliche as this sounds, coming out, so to speak, not that I felt I ever came out, but being a 16, 17-year-old gay kid, there wasn't a lot of reference for me. There weren't a lot of people to look up to, regular people that I could relate to. And I feel that that's something that Unity Coalition and a lot of our programs try and do every single day. It's like a little drop of water every day. And hopefully we can do that through our program. Bringing artists, bringing talent, bringing people that somebody can look at and say, oh wow, I could see myself in that person. I could relate to what that person's doing. Or being able to just say, oh wow, I didn't think I could do that. I didn't think that was possible to express myself that way.
And that's so important.
Absolutely.
That's so important. Araya, I'm curious to know, because you are a trans woman of color, and even though Orgullo is catered, or not catered, but it focuses or it highlights, let's say, the Latino community, the Latino LGBT community, how do you feel represented in events like this, and where do you draw a connection to this community, even though it's Latino?
Well, I think there's a lot of connections. I mean, me personally, I have a connection to the Latino Hispanic community in the form of my family, my chosen family. I have 4 godchildren, ages from, let me see, they're gonna kill me, from the age of 15 all the way down to 30. So, and they're all Puerto Rican. So, I grew up with a lot of Puerto Rican influence. I've had it in my life, and first coming here to Miami, I mean, they call Miami in South Florida, like the North American capital of South America, basically. So when you come here kind of with the expectance to immerse yourself within a Latin and Hispanic culture. So it's important for everyone, to engage within that culture, to understand Miami and South Florida in general, because that's what's around. Everyone knows that the best food is Cuban food.
Oh no, you didn't.
I am not taking you out to dinner tonight. Stop.
At least for me. And then also, when you look at the things that I face and my community faces, especially as transgender women of color, that of color, it doesn't just mean Black or African descent, and even if you look at African descent is put into Black Americans, Puerto Ricans, Caribbeans, like so many other people that all encompass even the Latin Hispanic communities. So we're all pretty much connected, and we're all, when you look at America and especially the political climate, we're all facing the same things. No matter if you're Black, brown, or tan. You know, we're all facing the same type of racial injustices and stereotypes when we walk out of our doors. So it's important for myself and other people that are here in South Florida to attach themselves to the community, you know, without losing yourself, of course, but I need to be there.
I think it's also important, Christian, that this gets across. The Unity Coalition is about unifying, and it's about bringing together communities. We didn't create a Hispanic LGBT Pride festival to create another little box to separate and divide. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. The only reason why it exists is because, again, we felt that there was a lack of a voice, a lack of exposure for that group. But the goal is absolutely to unify and to be inclusive, not to divide, not to there's a lot of other people that do that for us as a community, and try to divide it. We certainly don't do that to ourselves, or try not to.
Yeah, and we have, and Unity Coalition has focuses itself outside of that, like our scholarship program, which was adopted from the Anita Priest Fund, and it focuses on arts, design, and education. Anyone can apply for it. You don't have to be Latin or Hispanic. You have to identify with the LGBT community, of course. But just this past year, we raised and put out $50,000 worth of scholarships, in order to help students who are currently in college or that want to go into education. And that's not, you don't have to be Latin or Hispanic. And we have focus outside of just, that circle, even though that is one of our focuses.
And
So
even that program is something that we've really thought out. It's great if you get into Harvard. Not everybody can, or not everybody wants to.
Right.
So we've really tried to be very sensitive to our community. And when Araya says we gave out $50,000 in scholarships this past year, in great part because we also not only partnered with Anita Priest Whispering Foundation, which was the initial partnership that created this scholarship program, but this year we also included and partnered with Beauty Schools of America. So you want to go to cosmetology school, you want to be a masseuse, you want to be a barber, all these great opportunities. That's what it boils down to. We're not here to judge you, we're not here to tell you what you need to do, but we want to help you. We as Unity Coalition want to help you figure out how to be a better person, how to be involved in your community, how to make money, but certainly how to make this world better. Whether that means you're going to get involved with Unity Coalition or with some other organization, that's hopefully what we would inspire with some of this programming.
So we have cultural activities, we have education, we have resources. Anything else that you want to add to
Miami is a vibrant, lovely, incredible community, and there's so much to do. And the most frustrating thing is when I hear somebody say there's nothing to do in town, and my head explodes because our organization alone gives you something to do almost every day of the year, and there's so many other incredible programs out there. So don't use that as an excuse. You want to get involved, you want to meet people. I don't want to hear I can't find a date in Miami. We're not going to find you a date, but we'll certainly give you the opportunity socially and culturally. We'll give you prospects, exactly.
We'll build the environment for
and
you.
friendships.
That is up to you.
You had the best story. I couldn't make that up of Steven Snyder, and
Steven Snyder.
That's a perfect example. I couldn't be prouder of that you found that.
And actually, now that we're talking about some of these serendipitous relationships that got started, what are some of these things that you've seen happen, or these relationships or friendships, collaborations?
The fact that we're here with you. Honestly,
Yes.
the fact that we're here with you, and beyond just being on your show, on a personal level. I mean, you're an incredible, incredible young woman, and I adore you, and I think that bond has come out of thanks. No, but that came out of a program of Unity Coalition. We didn't know each other, and I think that's what it's about.
So
And
you
like
see
myself too, I'm vice president of Unity Coalition, but from that story of when Herb walked into my office, he's now one of my best friends, and he's somebody that is one of the first people that I can call when I need to reach out, to someone, or just lay my head somewhere, or just lean on as far as support. And outside of, even personal relationships, we have things like the State of Hate Workshop, where we put together different entities that are all focused on, law enforcement, such as the State Attorney's Office and the local police departments and the FBI and put them together. And these groups are supposed to work together, but sometimes it takes for them to come to one of our workshops to finally actually make a connection so that we can work on things such as, hate crime bills here in the state of Florida.
One thing that I'm really proud of is we are 100%, every penny that comes in goes right back out into the community. Our whole staff is professional, and we are all 100% volunteer. I don't take a salary. No one on our board takes a salary. So nothing against people that do. I love paying my bills, but it's really, really important. This is something that we believe in. We believe in, and we all donate our time and our energy and our funds. We have a great office on Brickell. It's a donated office. We really go to great lengths to make sure that every single penny that comes in goes right back out to the community.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I did want to talk about that, and that was a fact that I wanted to bring up. I think that it's incredible that these all of these volunteers give their time to this cause. What do you think that says about the state of the LGBT community?
There's hope. No matter how many people try to divide us, and no matter how many horrible headlines you see every day about the demise of our world.
I didn't say that.
Who? No, I think that, these are tough times, but there's always been tough times. I think it's all relative. I think that, you see life through your eyes, and right now this is the worst time in history because it's what you're living and what you're experiencing. And that's not to diminish the seriousness of the things going around it, but it is all relative. And, you could either crawl up in a little ball and not leave your house and watch CNN till your eyes pop out, or whatever other station, or you could try to make a difference. And I know that sounds so like a greeting card, but guess what? Every single person can make a difference. Every single person, in the biggest or the smallest way. A lot of times I'll go and I'll talk in front of somebody, and this has happened to me so many times, where somebody will come up and say, like, I don't know how you do it. I'm terrified in front of a microphone. I'm terrified in front of a crowd. I get nervous every single time still. That doesn't go away. But I believe in what I'm talking about. I'm passionate about what I'm talking about, so that makes it easier for me. So whether it's in a little tiny way, whether you can go and clean up a park, whether you can come and volunteer, at our gala, whether you want to come see how we had one at the Betsy Hotel on October 14th, little plug, shameless plug, and hear about his book, or talk about having fun. We have an event on October 13th at Concrete Beach Brewery. We have
that's around the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, right around the corner.
Plantain Fest, a Platanito beer. We're going to be sampling Platanito beer. So, there's plenty of fun and opportunity there.
It's about being involved.
Yeah.
It's about being receptive to your community.
Absolutely.
And also being supportive of those communities that may not necessarily be your own.
And we've seen it again. You don't have to lead a parade. You don't have to stand on stage. You don't have to lead a march to be active. We've seen in the smallest but biggest ways, we've seen people literally blossom coming to our events. We really, really have. We've seen people that have come to TRANSART, to Elevate, to many of the events, that sit quietly in a corner and don't talk, and then all of a sudden, a week later, a month later, they're vibrant and they're meeting people, and you're like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And proudly, a lot of it is because they took a chance and they found people that they had commonality with.
They found their tribe.
And that taking a chance, I think, is very important, because a lot of people want to do something but then get kind of overwhelmed with, like, what can I do?
Mm-hmm.
And just to say, it just takes a few clicks.
You're
Go
showing
to UnityCoalition.org, see what really talks to you as far as all the events that we have, and then just go to it. Just show up. Mostly everything we have is free.
And you can bring your mom, and you can bring your cousins, and you can, this isn't some, like, oh my God, they're going to be mortified. No. Most of our events purposely are all-inclusive. We're proud of our roots. We're proud that we're Hispanic and LGBT, and that we don't water that down in any way. But we also are respectful, and we also want people to come see what it's about. So the militancy we try to keep, on check, and with the goal of, you know, just come check us out. Come check out, you know, something that might be out of your comfort zone. It'll be worth it.
You know, I want to get into something a little bit more mushy, but now that we're getting there, I'm really curious. What is the best part of this job? What makes you, and it's volunteer, but what makes your heart beat for it? Why do you do
Me?
it? Yeah.
Wow, you're getting.
You could shed
You're
a
gonna
little
make
thug
me
tear.
cry.
You can shed a thug tear too.
I am a very, very fortunate man, and I say that because I have an extremely supportive group of birth family and chosen family. You know, it's been rocky. It hasn't been perfect. You know, there's been many, many issues, but the life I have today, I feel privileged. And I say that because every single time I meet someone that hasn't had that same privilege, okay, and privilege doesn't equate financial or you know, or your place in society or any of that. You know, just privilege to be able to live in my own skin, to be able to come into a radio show like this and say this is who I am and not be worried about who's listening, because I'm proud of who I am. And my family's proud of what I do, and my people that care, that matter to me, are proud of what I do. That empowers me. That wakes me up every morning. You know, that keeps me going. And again, it's those simple. It's when you get a call that says, "You made a difference."
Or you
made a difference.
Friend.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me. I always used to hear about people saying that, like, "Oh, I made a difference in one person's life," and I used to think, it doesn't really happen like that. That's movie stuff. It does, and I've been so fortunate to run into people that to be honest with you, maybe I kind of dismissed them at the time. Maybe I was running to a meeting and didn't really give them the time that I should have, maybe. And you never know how you touch people, and whether that's through our programming or that's through respect. You know, you don't know. Again, back to the idea of somebody laying on the beach. You know, I don't know if that's a millionaire. You know, somebody that's started some internet company and it's like the 18-year-old gazillionaire laying on the beach, or if it's a homeless kid that got thrown out of his house and is doing sex work to eat. I don't know. And quite honestly, it's not my place to know, certainly not to judge. So the more you try to instill that in you, you know, and you talked about race, and you talked about, you know, Raya as a woman of color. Hispanics, my God, we're from like redheads, albinos to the darkest of darkest. You know, you don't know who you're talking to in South Florida, and that's the beauty. I think that's the beauty of being in South Florida. Everyone's from somewhere else, and you don't know where that person's coming from. So get to know them. Don't judge them. Get to know them.
Yes. And Araya, how about for you?
Along the same lines, it's those Facebook messages or texts that you get that you know say, "Oh, I went to such and such event, you know, that we produced and we created and we put our hearts and our sweat and tears and blood into it," and for them to say, you know, that changed my life, you know, or that even just changed their perspective, or that it educated them in some way that made them better people to ostracized and vulnerable community that we're fighting so hard for, you know, or even people from my own community that you know hit me up and say, you know, we appreciate the work that you're doing. Please continue doing it because I'm not able to, and we need you to do it. That is my fuel, you know, and that is what pushes me even beyond all of my personal issues and problems and struggles and hurdles that I've gone through, you know, and just one being me and being a trans woman of color as well. So that is what really you know, is my inspiration. It makes me continue doing what I want to do and what I, you know, do, because there are happen times where you do get frustrated and like, you know, I just want to give this all up. Why am I doing this? Why am I putting so much of myself into it? And it's those moments that show you this is why.
I love that. It's something about your answer made me think about Steven Snyder, and even though the LGBTQA spectrum, you know, if you're in that community, you're connected through through your emotions, through your feelings, through who you love, all of these things. But someone who falls under B is not necessarily someone who falls under T.
Right.
And I remember when I met Steven, and we sat down outside the Betsy, and it was raining. It was, I think it rained for like the 5 hours we were
Right.
there.
It did.
And I talked to her about her story and how she came out as transgender later on in
Late in life,
like
right?
in her 60s. And she just gave me so much perspective. And even though I fall in the LGBT spectrum, you know, I don't necessarily relate to these stories
Right.
or not necessarily know much about them. And I just came to her and I was like, you know, I really want to learn. I really want to know about you and who you are. Those interactions, like, you can't fake those moments. You can't fake a vibe, like I say, with her, you know. And Unity Coalition gave me that friend, gave me that moment. And not only did it make me a better person because I listened to her story and I learned more about her, it taught me to be more mindful, to be careful of the things that I say and how I say them. Just switching those little things in your head and being more conscious, like avoiding those microaggressions with people, they make someone's day so much better. And they make you such a better person, you know, because you learn about someone else who may be like you, but who's not really like you, you know.
And that story is why I'm going to go back to work tomorrow. That's what inspires me, what you just said.
Thank you so much. We have a couple of minutes left. We have about 5 minutes. Let's talk about Celebrate Orgullo. What are some of the things that people can look forward to? What
Sure.
can they expect? And what's some of the programming left for until the 15th now?
Well, we've had 3 exhibits, actual gallery exhibits. One is at the Hub, LGBT Center on Washington Avenue, and all 3 are open through the 15th of October with some wonderful artists. We have Lázaro Amaral, we have Jonathan Brooks, and we have Ali. Their work is on exhibit there. We have, we just closed actually a one-man show at MMM Gallery in Shops at Midtown, and that was with Aquiles Alvaros, incredible artist. We just had a bus tour yesterday? Yes, Saturday, with Xavier Cortada, with Carlos Cesar Alves in Oakland Park, and 34 other artists at Fountainhead Studios, and that was incredible. We have one more opening tomorrow, free and open to the public, 6 p.m. at the Pride Line Center in Miami. And as I said, that has Marianela Holly, it has Coco Larcon, and it has Marco Veria's work. And free and open to the public. Please come and enjoy the art, meet the artists, and then we have a workshop right after that, rhythm, rhymes, and writing. And then
What's the website for all of these events?
CelebrateOrgullo.com or UnityCoalition.org. Either one will take you to the same place. Again, Unity Coalition is the organization. Celebrate Orgullo is one of our programs.
Right.
But either one will take you there. The Beer Fest, my God, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And back to the late night thing, Rich Art is this incredible performer, singer that we flew in from Spain, from Madrid, and he's going to be performing at SCORE this Friday night at the Lab. So go there, meet with Athena Dion and all the other wonderful characters there, and watch Rich Art perform. And then Saturday morning, come with your coffee and your sunglasses because you were out the night before, and go listen to the wonderful readings of Javier Montilla and his book at the Betsy. There's going to be a breakfast writer salon there. But the party doesn't end on October 15th. We're proud every day of the year. We say, you know, we're Hispanic LGBT 24/7, 365.
Yeah. And on social media, how can folks connect with you?
All the usuals: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. Anything, just type in Unity Coalition and you'll find us.
And if people want to connect with you directly?
UnityCoalition.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Araya, what are your socials there?
On Facebook, I'm Araya Lester. That's ARYAH. On most of the other social medias is Araya L, ARYAHELLE. And you can find me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and all of our programs have their own, you know, little pages and handles as well as Unity Coalition. But you know, just go through myself or Herb, and you'll see it because we, you know, post a lot of our programming. But you know, not because we are trying to get money out of it per se, but because we think that is important for the community.
We have a great New Year's Eve party at the rooftop of the Betsy on December 31st. That's going to be a lot of fun and really, really affordable. Really affordable. And then TRANSART. TRANSART is January 18th through the 21st. So we're really excited about that.
Are you still taking submissions for that?
Yes, we are. We currently are, and we've gotten submissions from Nigeria, India, Mexico. You know, where there's people all around the world that have heard about TRANSART, which is like crazy to me. It's like, wow, we're really getting out there. But it also shows that, you know, it's something that's not really out there for our community to be showcased. So we're really proud to be able to do that for our artists.
And TRANSART is the art festival, the art fair that highlights exclusively trans artists.
It's a
right?
conference. It's a
conference
4-day
and
conference and art exhibit. It's a juried arts festival. So respectfully, just because you identify as trans and you happen to have a box of crayons doesn't mean we're going to take your art. It's good art. It's good art, and it's juried. You know, yes, it's judged. That's a competition, but it's really amazing art. It's really amazing art, and again, it exposes not just the artist to the community, but the community to the artists, and we're really proud of it.
Yeah, and for the listeners out there, you don't have to be from South Florida. You don't have to be from Miami. You can reach out to Unity Coalition all over online, wherever you want. Pick up the phone.
One more thing that certainly is global that we're super proud of. Through TRANSART, we realized that there wasn't really a video archive of regular people. You know, we've all heard of the Miss Jenner and other people, you know, that are global names, if you will, for better or worse, in the trans community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we started something called Trans Lives Project, and it's documenting on video and audio the lives of regular people that happen to identify as transgender. We have over 36 individuals already interviewed internationally, from mostly from South Florida, but we expanded last year to an amazing group of transgender youth from Israel that we interviewed, and
That's
those
on
are
the Unity Coalition
all,
website as well?
yeah, it's on our video library, and it grows every single year by at least a dozen, and we are so proud of that.
So we're so proud of it being archived at Stonewall Museum and Archives as well, starting last year.
That's so beautiful. So for the listeners out there, if you want to be a part of that, make sure you go onto the website, Unity Coalition.
UnityCoalition.org, and you could click on our community archives or community resource center if you need help with a doctor, with a lawyer, with immigration, whatever. You could click on any of our links. It's a very user-friendly website. You have the video library, information on all of our programs, including TRANSART, including Celebrate ORGULLO, and more.
And feel free to hit us up with a message personally too.
Awesome.
You know, that's where I get most of my questions, and be able to refer people or just give them information as well.
Well, our time's up. Thank you so much, Herb. Thank you so much, Araya, for being on Meet Them Mondays.
Thank you for having us.
And make sure listeners to tune back next week on Monday, October 16th at 7 p.m. for another Meet Them Mondays. You can also find me on the gram at Roam Free Rights.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
I always try to make sure we stay on time.
Of course.
There's so many things that Unity Coalition does that I really want to make sure that
I told you we weren't
in
shy.
the
We could talk
yeah,
forever. So.
there's so much there's so much that happens.
This hour.
It went by so fast, you know. There's more water. I gotta get you more water.
Fine. I'm good.
Thank you so much for being on here, and thank you for everything that you do for the community.
No problem. You gonna see you Thursday?
Yes, you're gonna see me, and not only that, but honestly, it's not because it's my story, but the way that trans art changed my life.
And I meant that, and I hesitated because I didn't want to be corny, like, you're the reason. But honestly, that story, you can't make that up, because I know you told me that 2 years ago.
I'm gonna tell John really quick, because I don't think he knows, but
You and I didn't know each other. I
didn't
invited
know
you
each
that day,
other.
and it was like, come. You know, you called or something, and I was like,
you know what it was?
just show up.
Steven was gonna go or
Yeah.
something. I think you had told Steven.
Yeah.
And Steven is not editing.
Exactly,
And so he was
exactly.
like, I need a journalist to cover this event. Can you go?
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'll get just 5
That's exactly what it was. It was Steve Rothhouse that
Yes.
you
Yeah,
were
the Herald.
Yeah. And you were in the paper.
And you were even kind of shy about it. I was like,
You want
just
me
show
to,
up tonight.
You can leave it or whatever you want.
Yeah, I was at I think the T-Mobile store when I did the interview with you.
Yeah.
I remember specifically.
So long story short, what ended up happening was that one of their events, which was TransArt, and it's the Trans Arts conference exhibit, yeah. I ended up meeting an artist there, and I interviewed him, and we ended up hitting it off. And we sat outside after the interview was done for like 5 hours, literally. Told each other's life stories, and then she was like, "Hey, you should come visit me in my home in New Mexico." And I was like, "Okay." So I told my wife, then my girlfriend, I was like, "Listen, I made a friend. Let's go to New Mexico." And then we bought a ticket and went. We didn't know each other, nothing, and it happened just like that off of that.
And his story, which I won't get into too much, but her story was incredible because he transitioned at 67, I think, you know, kids, wife, the whole bit, and doesn't, sexuality orientation is completely different from, you know, how you identify, but for the record, this is someone that is attracted to women, and just identifies as a woman, and she is a woman. So just forget, aside from the fact that she's an incredibly talented artist, just the life that this person is living right now. The same thing happened to me. We went out to dinner after one of the gallery things, and honest to God, it was like 4 or 5 hours that I was just like, please just tell me more. Just tell me, because she's just a fascinating individual. And again, it only happens through programs like that. There's we would have never, how would I have ever met a 67-year-old trans artist from New Mexico? I'm sorry, it's just not, in my scope of, Facebook friends or whatever.
That was the best part. Well, we're done here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Dude,
Thank you,
wow, that
John.
was
And
fantastic.
more power to
Very
you,
cool.
man, on what
Very cool.
you're doing here. I really.
I'm gonna ask you both to make a quick little video with me, just so I can post it, and then.
Do you need a release or anything, or are you good?
No, not at all.
Are you kidding me? He
No,
lets me
I'm
live my
saying-
life. He lets me live my journalism
Saying,
dreams.
I want to make sure.
I've been getting a little brave lately,
That's good. That's good.
and I say things that might get me in trouble, but I have to say them. In the Herald, there's this thing that it says in the newsroom, like publish,
Mhm.
because like censorship.